Hello and welcome back to Future You, the podcast brought to you by graduate careers experts Prospects. I'm your host, Emily Slade, and in this episode, I speak to David about being an actor.
Hello, my name is David McCulloch.
I'm a serious actor.
Amazing. So what does a serious actor mean?
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm that serious. So I'm a professional actor, and every time I say that, I cringe a little inside because I always find it weird calling myself an actor, especially because it won't be the case with you because we know each other. But if you introduce yourself as an actor to a stranger, you get an array of questions and judgment and all other negative things that you don't want being thrown at you. Mostly the judgment of why, an actor, and stuff like, oh really, well I've seen you in anything, have you got anything lined up, how do you learn all those lines? I'm like, there's more to it than, well, not so much learning lines, but there's more to it than just because I've not been on comedy doesn't mean I'm not an actor.
Amazing. You've gone straight in there with a lot of the myth busting. So you are a professional actor. That means essentially, I suppose, that you get paid acting work more often than not.
More often than not, yes, but not more often than
To be full time.
Sort of, yes. Depends on the job I have. But yes, I do, for some obscene reason, get paid to act, which is always a pinch me moment for me whenever that happens. And I see the money enter my bank account. I'm like, paid to act? My goodness, that's great.
So was that the dream? What's your educational journey up until this point?
It was very much a pipe dream growing up. I always loved acting. I loved being on stage, doing drama, not just as a mandatory subject at uni. Oh no, not at uni. Mandatory subject at school. I was probably the only person in my secondary school who had the option to do a second language. We already learned French or German or whatever, but you could have the option to choose either Spanish or Latin. I was one of the only ones that passed the test where I had the option. I went, no, I do drama. And my language teacher was like, why? And so yeah, through school and college and uni, I'd always, gone down the path of doing drama. I remember at college, there was the option to do the full-time BTEC, which counted for 3 A levels. And my parents were like, maybe don't put all your eggs in one basket, maybe do something else. And I was like, okay, well, I'll do the one that counts as 1 A level, and I'll do film studies. What else? Photography. Please choose English Lit as well. I was like, okay, I'll choose English Lit. There we go. And then went to uni. I studied drama and media studies, 2 Mickey Mouse degrees, price at 1. Ha ha ha. It's the joke I always get, as I tend to make myself self-deprecating. That's what being an actor is. You said to Jim the camera, so I did. Yeah, I studied drama and media, and so what a lot of people would think the next step would be is to go to drama school. But my parents had saved and very kindly paid for my university fees, which was back in the day when it was only $3,000 a year. I know, I'm old. It would have been a bit cheeky of me to be like, hey, mum and dad, thanks for money to let me have a higher education. Now, how about 3 times that much to do what you would essentially consider the same thing, but all the way up in London? So after uni, I wanted to keep the creative flame going, so I joined a lot of Andran groups, but always kind of felt that to be a professional was just slightly out of reach. I didn't think there was any way to get into that unless you'd been to drama school. And then it turns out that's not the case, because I got involved with an amateur dramatics group in Winchester, and I wanted to get more involved in marketing as well as acting, because I thought, well, if I can't act, I'll market, because I liked that kind of promotional aspect. And I was in rehearsals for one of the shows, and one of the women that was in it approached me and said that her and her mum had a professional theatre company and they were holding auditions. Did I want to go along? She said, oh, it's only a little bit of money. But all I heard was, money?
Money.
Yes. But I then immediately, the imposter syndrome kicked in, and I was like, you're not actually a professional actor. Don't tell her. Don't tell her that you're not. And so I went along, auditioned, got in, and then that's kind of how I got my foot in the door, I guess.
Yeah, amazing. So This is the thing. Let's talk about, there must be a variety of routes into the profession, as it were. So a lot of people assume you have to go to drama school. You don't. What are the perks of going to drama school?
I don't know. My wife went to drama school, and in her audition, she was asked to do speech again, but as a pineapple.
Full disclosure,
You went to drama
I went to drama school and I did do the audition routes, and I was asked to be a tea bag, and a used tea bag. What you get is a much more intense training. You get showcases, which are to be put in front of agents. So the next step would be, in theory, a lot of people might assume you'll need an agent in order to get you work in the industry. Do you have an agent?
No, I don't.
But you still get work in the industry.
Yes. Persevering, applying for jobs constantly, but it's also a case of who you know. I have gotten jobs because I've worked with people and we've gotten on well, and then down the line they've gone, hey, you weren't that insufferable, do you want to come and do this job or something? I do find with age, it depends on what kind of level you are. I think there are certain jobs in the industry that you can't get without an agent. But to get one of those really big agents is very difficult. But then there are a lot of other agents that are kind of on the same level that maybe I'm at already, or that other professionals are, and they'll just be getting me work that I could get myself. And so I always think, strive for an agent, because you might need them for some of the more big and complicated jobs, if I ever get them, which is the dream. Here's hoping. And it might be helpful as well to kind of get that knowledge from the agent side of things, because as an actor, contracts and terms and conditions and usage and all that just straight over my head pretty much. It's quite lucky that my wife that I mentioned used to work in an agency, so if I have any problems I usually go to her.
Yeah, so it helps with the sort of nitty-gritty admin side of things, but you would also then have to give a cut to your agent.
Yes.
So by sourcing work yourself, it means you save that money.
Yes. Most agents out there do say that if you source the work yourself, then you don't have to pay them a commission unless you choose to get them involved. I did have an issue with a past agent, because I have had a couple of agents before, where I said, oh, I've gotten this job myself. I did it last year. It was like a seasonal gig, and I'm doing it again. But here's all my availability in case you want to put it on for anything else. But it was around the festive period where, unless you're already down for Panto or something else, you're probably not going to be put down for much. And then she was like, I think you should put this contract through me. Otherwise, you should think about looking for other representation. And I went, okay, well, here's what your contract says. And yeah, I think I will look for other representation. There is, sadly, in this industry, there are occasions where people will try and take the mick a bit. There's a lot of stories of actors getting taken advantage of. So one of the things, and you do need, I'm sure this will be one of your questions, you do need a lot of, I don't know, a strong will and backbone and gumption to be in this industry. You have to deal with a lot of terrible people and rejection and stuff like that. And so it's just all about knowing your worth. That's the best advice I give to any actors. Just know what you're worth.
That's a really nice way to put it. So you really do have to have like rock solid self-esteem, because 10 times out of 10, it's not you. You didn't get this role because they hate you.
Yeah.
You didn't get this role for a million reasons that had nothing to do with you.
I'll still think that they hate me.
Amazing. So while we're on the thing of advice, like, how do you deal with rejection?
Oh, self-pity and alcohol. I'm joking. This is a professional podcast. I don't know, really. If it's something like a self-tape, I can kind of send it off, out of sight, out of mind. But whereas for me, unlike a lot of actors, I don't live in London. I live in Hampshire. And so sometimes I have to travel all the way up to London for an audition. And it is a little bit harder on the old confidence when you've woken up early, paid money for a train ticket. You travel all the way up to London. You get there really early because you don't trust train times. And it takes like maybe an hour, 2 hours to get maybe longer to get from your doorstep to London. And then you got to travel further into deepest, darkest depths. And you get there, it's taking you forever. You're sweating, you're hot, or you're freezing cold, or whatever the weather's like. And you get in 5 minutes later, if that, thanks very much, off you go. So even that in itself is a bit like, oh, God. So sometimes that kind of softens the rejection blow a bit. But then you think, why did I go all the way up there? Why did I bother? So it's trying to push through.
And why did you bother?
Mostly because I wanted the job.
So it is always worth it. It's hard work is what I'm getting. It's hard work, but you get paid to do what you love at the end.
Yes. And that is a privilege that I'm very, very glad to have. I can get paid for doing what I like. I have gotten some acting jobs.
Yeah, and so then what do they tend to look like? Like, you're not Corey, you're not in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, or are you?
No.
So, like, what are you, as a consistently jobbing actor, which is, I believe, what you're referred to as art, what does the work look like?
So before I became professional, I just assumed that a professional actor was someone that went up to London and filmed on a big TV show or a film or had like a long run in the West End or something like that. But then when I actually did it, the first acting job I did was only 5 days in total. Still got paid for it, which was great. And then the second one that I did it alongside my then full-time job because I used to work in an office. And it was touring to like regional areas, like taking theatre to community centres, local theatres, village halls, churches, a hovercraft. Not one that was moving, but in the hovercraft museum. It's completely like, this was so different to what I thought acting was going to be. But it felt, the tour that I'm talking about was with a production company local to me called Black Box Theatre. And we drove around, we put up the stage and the set and lights and all of it ourselves. So it's a very collaborative effort. And I was like, oh, this is a different side that you don't really see if you're a normal person who just thinks acting is being Benedict Cumberbatch.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's loads of other jobs that I had that fall under acting that you don't really think, oh yeah, that counts as an acting job. Like immersive theatre stuff or role play work. I do a lot of that. I've managed to get in with quite a few companies. So like,
what's role play work?
So it depends on what company you're doing, but basically companies will use actors for simulations to help train people for other jobs. So like medical role plays, an easy one to explain, where they'll be training, upcoming doctors and nurses, and they'll have actors. They'll be given a sheet with, this is your character, this is your ailment, off you go. So it requires a lot of improv and thinking on your feet because you've got to react to the person talking to you. And there's also quite a lot of pressure because it's like, wow, this person's training to be a doctor or a nurse, a real job. And I'm here helping them do that. And I've done a lot of like hostile environment training role play where they're people that have been trained up to go to, first world countries or war-torn countries, and they'll have actors playing civilians, sometimes aggressive simulations and stuff like that, because you're training people for a wide range of scenarios that they could go into, especially given the state of the world at the moment. But they're training people to go into these places and provide aid and provide support to people who have been potentially victims of warfare, and they could be dealing with a lot of conflict out there. So that's some of the scenarios that we do, which is a lot of fun for us because, but it's very...
You just play around.
We're just playing around. We're just playing around, waving guns about. It's great fun.
You're not training to be a doctor.
No, they're not. So that's things I didn't think of before. And that's a lot of fun to do. And it keeps the creative muscles going because there's a lot of improv involved and you've got to stay in character because you've got to keep the simulation as real as possible because these are people that have paid a lot of money for these courses to go into real world scenarios. So you don't want to mess that up.
Mm-hmm. You talked about keeping the muscles active. Is that something that you have to be aware of? What are the sort of costs of being an actor when you think about things like showreels, headshots, workshops, keeping you active when you're not getting paid work?
Well, the great thing is with stuff like role play work, it's a lot more consistent than your plays, your films, and all of that. And I got into that because I knew people that had already worked in it, because I have quite a few friends in the industry. That makes me sound really important. Martin Freeman, I've got in a speed dive. He told me to look at the camera. No, because a lot of friends do it, and oh, what are you doing? This and that. Oh, come along to this or that. It's very much like a lot of these companies are just, because they are not creative companies per se, they're always on the lookout for actors. So it is a case of who you know for those kind of gigs. If you've gone a long time between doing, say, like a play, you can be a little bit rusty, and I do find that. I always find the first day of rehearsing something, I'm like, oh, do we have to get up and do it? 'Cause it's the worst feeling ever. I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm tired. I don't want to do it. Can I just go home? Because you've not done it in a while. It's like with anything. It's like if you, I don't know, have ridden the bike for ages, you get on it again. But so in terms of like the physical, mental side of it, it is good to keep those creative juices going in a way.
And can you do that for free in your own time by just like learning a monologue off your own back, or just practicing with friends, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I know some people that definitely do that.
Yeah, but like, can you pay for like workshops and courses to keep you ticking over?
I think there are definitely like actors workshops out there, and I know a few people that have done them and said they're really beneficial, and I know a few people that have got on like acting retreats. It do cost a fair bit of money, which I don't currently have. You kind of know you're getting something in for that, because they're offering quite a unique experience that you wouldn't get anywhere else. In terms of going back to your question about costs, headshots and show reels and stuff like that, it is very costly, this industry. And sometimes it just kind of makes you go, in order to get acting work, I need to spend a lot of money to get the things I need to get the acting work and stuff like that.
Unlike an agent, are there things that you absolutely do need?
You absolutely need a headshot,
which is a picture of your face.
Yes, but one kind of a professional looking one. When I first got my headshots, like my first ever ones, I had no idea what to do. So I kind of like, what's an actor's look like? That or a smile, whatever that. So you've got to think about what characters you want to play and have different looks and styles for that. If you don't live in London, it can be quite tricky to find a headshot photographer because they're all in London, but look around locally and might find they're a little bit cheap for the ones in London. The last set of headshots I had was from a local photographer called Mike Bell, and they're fantastic. It's just down the road. It's even better. So a show reel, basically what you need is, or what you should aim to get, is a video montage of your acting work. You can pay for a show reel scene where they will have written up like 1, 2, or 3 different types of scenes, and they'll be professionally shot and edited, and then you've got video evidence of you being able to act, and then you can basically show, it's in the name, a show reel. You can show a reel of your work. That's so clever. But they are very expensive. If you don't have a lot of money to get a show reel scene, then looking out for like student productions is quite handy. It can be a bit of a lottery, and they don't always pay, but some just pay like expenses and stuff, and you get a free show reel scene out of it. And that's how I started for that. The odd short film I've done here and there, I'm always thinking, is there a bit of a scene that I can just take some of that and use it? I'm quite lucky that I have a basic understanding of video editing software, but I think on my iMovie, you just clip, insert a phase between 2, and there you go. But it's almost like a lot. You need to have like the best headshots and the best show reel, as people say. When you're starting out, just getting a couple of pictures of your face against a blank background, and even just filming yourself doing a monologue, just so you've got something to start with, so someone can see what you're like. Like, I know people who have been doing this for years and they've gotten good work, but they don't have a show reel because they've just somehow managed to build the context as they go. And yeah, the other thing about cost, and this is one thing I hate about this industry, is that acting seems to be the only industry where you have to pay to apply for jobs. So you don't have to on Indeed or Total Jobs or Reel, but on stuff like Spotlight and Mandy, you have to pay to create we'd have paid to create a profile on something like Mandy, but you have to pay to apply for paid jobs.
Right.
And it's also quite tricky getting on Spotlight because you have to, I think you have to have a certain number of credits under your name already to be accepted onto that. Then you got to pay the privilege for applying for work. And then you can't even see all the acting jobs because only if you're not represented by an agent, you can only see certain amounts. If you have an agent, they get to see more. So that's quite tricky.
Do you have to have a job that's not acting on the side?
Yes, definitely. Unless you are super, super lucky. Yeah, it's good to have a side hustle. Some people just do acting as like a part-time thing, and that's absolutely fine. Some people want to do it a lot more full-time. I'd love for this to be my full-time profession, but I've been doing this for coming up to 8 years professionally, and I am a realist that you do need another job to help pay the bills, as it were. When I started, I was doing a full-time, like 37 to 40-hour job. I was working in the public sector. But I was very lucky that my boss at the time used to be in a band. So he had that kind of creative love inside him. So he let me utilize, probably abuse, the chance that I could work flexibly. Mm-hmm. And I was able to do acting alongside it. But then it got to a point where I had a very lucky year in 2021 where I had quite a few jobs lined up and I'd used up all my annual leave and I didn't have any flexi time left. And my new boss had said, oh, you can't do what you've been doing and be flexible with your hours. So I was like, okay then, I'm going to make a decision. And that decision was to hand in my notice and make a go of it properly. And I was very lucky at the end of 2021 where I went from doing a play, doing another play, doing a music video, a short play, and then a big seasonal contract. January hit and I had nothing. I was like, oh, this money's going to go. So it is good to have a side hustle. I used to be a Deliveroo rider. So 0 hours is great. I know a lot of people, when it was first introduced, like, oh, 0 hours, it's not great. And there was a risk because you're not guaranteed shifts. So make yourself invaluable in that job, but not too invaluable that they won't be annoyed when you leave, if you leave. So I'm very lucky there's a theatre local to me with a 0 hours, which I'm currently on a 0 hours contract, which is guest experience. So it's working the bar, ushering, scanning, working the cafe. Because it's a theatre, they know that I'm an actor and I do it professionally. So they're very supportive of that. And they understand that I like the 0 hours side of it. I like getting a lot of shifts, but I also have
the flexibility.
Other avenues I want to be flexible.
Even if you were to get, let's say, a feature film, do you think you would give up that side hustle? Because there's no guarantee, you know, just trying to like have a reality here. It's not like you get cast in the next Marvel movie and then you're set for life. Yeah. Like you do have to keep that realistic grounding of like, it's good to have work somewhere.
Yeah, I know full well that if I was very, very, very fortunate enough to get the next Marvel movie, I'm not going to be the lead, not yet, but it will be. And, you know, I've had it where I've gone off and had quite good jobs and stuff, but I know it's coming to an end. There's nothing lined up next. So it is good to keep those side hustles in your back pocket. You know, just be open and honest with your employer in that sense. And so hopefully that they then let you back when you're done. Because there is no guarantee. Unless you're an actor of a certain level of, I guess, fame. Or if you've somehow, well, even that, I was about to say, if you've locked yourself into a TV series, even then it's not guaranteed because it get cancelled like that. It's a fantasy job. This is a fantasy job. So it is all about being realistic. So like, it can look like a fantasy thing being an actor, and to some extent it is a little bit. So it's good to keep yourself grounded, keep things realistic, but also you've got to push yourself. So I am on Spotlight every day, looking for work, applying for things. There are certain panto casting websites that I am going on every day. It says casting closed, but if I refresh it, maybe it will come up. And just apply for anything and everything, even if you don't think you'll be great at it, or if you think this isn't really for me, just go for it. I applied for something on Spotlight. It was for a puppeteering gig. I have no experience being a puppeteer. Didn't mention anything about puppeteering on my application, and I got an audition. And I went in, and the guy said, "Do you have any experience with this type of puppet?" And I was like, no, not this kind. But I didn't say the rest, which was not this or any, really.
You got yourself in the door.
I
You're
did, yeah.
seen by people that might remember you for future, and you had a practice audition.
I did, yes. But that's another thing, like, these people in an audition room, they will see God knows how many people a day, and they're running late, and everything merged into one. Who is it now? Oh God, I've been here all day. I'm tired. Blah, blah, blah. You've got to make, if you get into the audition room, make that time yours. And if they kept you waiting for over an hour, and they say, "Sorry, I'm running late," it's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. It's all good, because you've got to give a good impression. And auditioning, and just being in the industry in general, like in any aspect, whether it's auditioning, rehearsing, acting, or just hanging out, it's not just about being a talented actor. It's about being a hardworking actor. It's also about being someone that people would like to go and have a pint with. Being nice.
Being nice is so important.
But yeah, just try and get yourself out there. Social media is awful at the moment, but try and network on that as much as you can. Another good bit of advice, I'd say, for getting to know more about the industry, and I know some actors look down on it a little bit, but I'm like, no, it's great, is applying for extras or supporting artist agencies. Because for that, all you do is you don't even need to worry about professional headshots. They just need to know what you look like. You just need to send you your measurements, a picture of yourself, and yeah, there are stories of, I've done a few extras gigs, and it's money for old bro.
Yeah.
And B, you get to see like big giant film sets, so you kind of get more of an understanding of how that side of acting works. Because I've only really done like short films or small scale indie films. So to see a big, huge $1 million production is like, wow, this is incredible. It's amazing. And you do get a chance to act a little bit in them. I did one recently where I wasn't saying anything, but I was having to react to a person, and it's like, oh, it's quite interesting doing it this way and learning about the kind of more technical aspect, putting on a big production, and you get fed.
Oh, amazing.
I'd like to get paid as well, but getting a sandwich is the best. If you've listened to me ramble all this time and you still want to be an actor, go for it.
Woo!
If anything I said as an age you go, it's not for me, or if there's ever any, I'm one of my own worst critic, and I'm always doubting myself, but I always remember that, like, well, the alternative to go back to full-time in the public sector, which was, again, I'm sure people love it there, but I'm not built that way. I'm not built to be sat behind a computer all the time. I need to be on my feet, acting like a fool on stage.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
But it's not impossible.
No, it's not. And it feels impossible, especially if you don't go to drama school.
And it looks impossible when all you're reading is like the children of actors are getting all the roles. But there's so many projects out there across so many mediums that require actors.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is more out there than you think. And I'm very much a stark believer in that there's more to acting than just what's in London. Because it seems like London's the cultural hub of everything, and it's all here. And it is, because you've got all the like small scale pub fillets and stuff like that. You don't really have much of that outside, but just look around and you'll find there are more local and regional companies that will probably be very grateful for local regional actors. You have to pay for travel to get all the way down to London. But yeah, you need a backbone, a lot of courage, and just a bit of insanity probably. If you don't go for it, you'll think, what if? And I was at a crossroads in my life where I was like, I have a choice to choose doing a play I really want to do. I don't know what happened afterwards. Or I stick with my job and I'm comfortable. And I'll spend the rest of my life going, I really wish I could have done that play. So even if many years down the line, I eventually go, do you know what? I'm done. At least I'll have done it. And I'll be happy with that.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome.
Thanks again to David for their time. For more information on becoming an actor, head to prospects.ac.uk. For a full-length video version of this episode, check out our YouTube channel at FutureUPod. If you enjoyed the episode, feel free to leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. Thank you, as always, for listening, and good luck on your journey to future you.